As we developed the integrated development study, we began to realize an opportunity for a bike path between Coaldale and Lethbridge. The integrated development study covered many areas, such as economic development and so forth, but this really demonstrated that there was an awesome opportunity which really would have spin-off for all the other positive areas. And really a bike path should have an anchor, so we looked at Henderson Lake as being an obvious first anchor point, and then in Coaldale we have the Birds of Prey, and it actually is a stormwater retention pond. It's beautiful, it has huge potential, and so we saw it as the other anchor point as part of the study. And Henderson Lake is in and of itself just the obvious starting point. It connects to all of the City of Lethbridge pathway system, which has been very well developed. We actually have access to the Old Man River Valley, which is the third largest municipal park that has that kind of a connected pathway system in Canada. So it's just tremendous. And of course, the bike paths that are there are phenomenal. The views are great. And it also ties into the Japanese Gardens, which is just a very lovely spot and a great anchor point regardless. And so the paths are good, they're pristine, they're in excellent shape, and really work out well. And of course, one of the first hurdles when you come off of Henderson Lake is trying to get across 43rd. And there we discovered a wonderful little miracle because we had already begun advancing our collateral, taking a look at what the path connection would look like, thinking of it as a bit of a gateway sort of location. It ties into the rest of the pathway through to Coaldale. And so we populated a slide, just hypothetically as a composite that would demonstrate the possibilities, only to discover that the City of Lethbridge already, as part of its southeast area structure plan, had already taken a look at the intersection and had discovered that, wow, they already wanted to create the connections. So I had an opportunity to present at council, and it was an immediate obvious answer that this could really work. So here you see the intersection, the exhibition grounds off to my immediate left, and then the connections across that would allow for the start of the connection through to Coaldale. As we analyzed the path between Lethbridge, Henderson Lake, and Coaldale Birds of Prey, we discovered that we had a little bit of private land to go through. And from the grandstand over, we have some path alignment that would actually go through research station ground or private lands. And then on to what we discovered to be an area near the Howe Road, and it's a beautiful spot with a still sort of extension of the drain, but not technically part of the St. Mary's River Irrigation District right of way. And one of the things that happens in the region, they get ponding every time we get the big rainfall. So there was an opportunity there to dredge out a bit of a pond, have a feature element, and so we developed also a composite for this location. So we basically created a water channel, and we're thinking, of course, that we would, through the irrigation district, keep the channel to have some minimum amount of water, still keeping the freeboard for drainage, bring in a pathway system, bring in the landscaping. Of course, that's the beauty of it. The minute you have all of the trees and irrigation, you now have an opportunity just to landscape it and make it look beautiful. You can see the little pond in the back. And then we talked about the architecture and felt it should be a robust prairie architecture, heavy timber, some rock, and really make it look solid. And then of course you populate that with people, bring in a canoe on our little lake and bicycles, and suddenly it's animated, comes alive. Aesthetically, it would be one of the finest in the region, compared to other similar pathway systems. So there you have the before and the proposed after, and we just think it would be spectacular. It would draw people from all over the place. With respect to the architecture, Coaldale itself embraced the concept of the prairie architecture with the robust timbers, the rock, and used it in their signage, and that itself came out of the integrated development study. So there again you see the building. We're thinking of rock and timber, and even the benches should reflect that so that when people come and enjoy the environment, they have that opportunity. So once we got off of the areas that were not officially part of the St. Mary's River Irrigation District right away, which we'd already handled through the Howe Road and so forth, we started to take a look at what does it look like for the embankment of the St. Mary's River Irrigation District. And this is a typical stretch of what is actually part of the drain channel. We thought it was a delivery ditch. It's not. They say if you want to see one, that it looks much bigger than that. But you can see that if we were to armor that edge of the canal, bring in proper road surfaces, and again, landscape it. I mean, that's the beauty of irrigation, right? We are in the irrigation capital of Canada. After all, we should be able to grow a few trees along our pathway. And then we did assure St. Mary's that we would, of course, use only vegetation and so forth that was sanctioned by them. And so it really allows for the entire canal to be cleaned up, but then also to create a path off of the roadways that would take you all the way from Henderson Lake to the birds of prey. So we did one more composite. It's in the area of Vista Meadows, and here you can see there's a lot of natural vegetation which has already occurred, and we really want to be sensitive to the owners of the acreages, so we want to utilize vegetation and so forth and embankment to really create privacy. But you can see we then dropped down to grade with Vista Meadows acreages south of 512 in the background and took a look, what might this look like if we were to transform it? And you can see the trees in the background. We've just added water, brought in what is pathway, and lo and behold, bring in the people, and suddenly the space comes alive, it's animated, and you can see already you'd be driving past Vista Meadows. It becomes a very exciting environment to be in. I believe that it will be a pathway of such a caliber of international acclaim that people would be happy to come from Europe, Japan, just to come and enjoy the pathway and become a major attraction in the region. So with Henderson Lake as an anchor point, we then took a look at Coaldale, and of course, birds of prey is just the perfect counterpoint. And what a lot of people don't know is that birds of prey was designed in the context of it being stormwater retention ponding. And in 1990, when it was constructed, that was its primary purpose. It has freeboard, it has an ability to absorb the stormwater when we get the heavy rainfalls. And so in a very attractive way, it does that. It creates a beautiful environment that is a wonderful destination. So to have it on the far end of a bike path is absolutely spectacular. It's good for 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall. You can come and you can enjoy the spectacular views. In my perfect world, it'll eventually become a 4-season destination, because even in the winter with hoarfrost in the trees, it's just as spectacular. And of course, the bike path would really make it viable for the other 3 seasons.